Okay. All right, everyone, thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Jordan Crowley. I'm the chair of the 34th District Democrats, and the time is now 6:03. So I'll call our September 2025 membership meeting to order. First things first, I will hand things off to our first vice chair, Rachel Glass, for our land acknowledgement.
Okay. Hi, everybody. On behalf of the 34th Legislative District Democrats, I acknowledge the land on which we stand today as the traditional home of the Coast Salish and Duwamish people, the traditional home of all tribes and bands within the Suquamish, Tulalip, Snoqualmie, Puyallup, and Muckleshoot nations. Without them, we would not have access to this gathering or to this dialogue. I ask that we take this opportunity to thank the original caretakers of this land on which we live and work, who are still here. And as part of the 34th Dem's commitment to walking the walk of taking action that goes beyond simply a verbal land acknowledgement, we are offering ways that you can take action with us by donating to organizations that benefit Indigenous communities in our district and also across our country. So the organization that I am highlighting tonight is Urban Native Education Alliance. And we'll post this organization's link in the chat. Please consider your one-time or monthly donation to this Indigenous-led organization as a way to solidify your commitment to the advocacy of our Indigenous neighbors and to help us deepen the significance of our land acknowledgement. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. Next is our consent agenda for this evening. Sorry. Our members received emails each of the last 2 Sundays, both including the membership meeting minutes from August. The link has already been put in the chat. Thank you, John. Is there a motion to adopt the August meeting minutes?
So moved. Rachel.
Thank you, Rachel. Is there a second?
Second, Ann Martin.
Thank you, Ann. Any objection? Hearing none, the minutes are adopted. Also in those emails was our proposed agenda for tonight's meeting, which you should see on the screen. Is there a motion to adopt the September meeting agenda?
So moved, Stephen.
Thank you, Stephen. Is there a second?
I'll second. This is Colton.
Thank you, Colton. Any objection to adopting the agenda? Hearing none, tonight's agenda is adopted, and with that, we will move straight into our treasurer's report, brought to you by our treasurer, Rebecca Rigo. Rebecca, I just saw you come in, so good time.
Wow, I logged on just as it's my turn. Is that what happened, Jordan?
Yep.
Wow. Okay. Well, that was purely coincidental. Sorry, I'm tardy, everybody. This month's treasurer report. Yes, as I forecasted last month, expenses are much higher because all of our first round of candidate contributions hit, which is roughly $7,000. So that is a significant chunk of that, which then, if you remove that, brings us back down to more of our normal expense rate. We also had Bend It Like Booker this month. Kudos to Rachel. And so you see some revenue impact. We had a generous sponsorship for the event, as well as some expenses that are really, besides the big candidate contributions chunk driving the expenses number. Otherwise, it is similar month to month, but I realize those numbers look big without that explanation. Jordan, anything you want to add?
Nope, that covers it. Thank you. Before we get into our endorsements considerations this evening, we have a few resolutions that have been brought to us, all with a due pass recommendation from the board, after also earning a due pass recommendation from the Resolutions and Endorsements Committee. These links to these were all included in our emails, but I will also put the links for all three in the chat. We'll take these one at a time and go somewhat slowly. Starting with the resolution denouncing the arrest of Mohammed Zahid Chaudhry. To quickly review our process for resolution considerations, Ann Martin, our chair for the Resolutions and Endorsements Committee, will provide a brief summary of the resolution, and we'll call for a motion and second to adopt. If there is a motion, we will hear debate, and just to put that up on the screen for everyone, we will hear debate and and consider amendments to the resolution, and then debate the underlying resolution inclusive of any amendments that passed. Once we get through debate on the underlying amendment, we'll move into a vote, and debate on the resolutions works the same way as debate on anything else on the 34th, for those who are familiar, for those who are not. The person who makes the motion gets 2 minutes to speak in favor of their motion. We then have an opportunity for a 2-minute speech opposed to the motion. And if there is a speaker against, then the person who seconds the motion gets 2 minutes to speak in favor of the motion. And to close out debate, the second speaker gets an opportunity to speak opposed to the motion. I'd like to take this chance to remind folks that we do have a code of conduct, which defines the standard of behavior by which everyone who participates in our meetings, in our events, and any other efforts of the organization must abide. It also prohibits ad hominem statements, assault, bigotry, bullying, discrimination, harassment, hate speech, oppression, and suppression. Anyone I believe is in violation of the code or is otherwise disruptive will be given a second warning. This one counts as everyone's first. If the behavior continues, that person will be removed from the meeting. Please remember to treat everyone with dignity, respect, and value. Make sure you're using welcoming and inclusive language. Assume good intent on the part of others and avoid profane, prejudicial, exclusionary, abusive, and sexualized language. I'd like to thank you all in advance for your cooperation and participation. And speaking of participation, for those of you who are voting members, meaning you submitted a 2025 membership form and you currently live in our district, you get to vote on tonight's resolutions. We have one primary and one alternate method of voting. The primary and preferred method is by Zoom poll. Once we get around to voting, we will launch a poll which those who are attending on Zoom will see pop up on their screen. Within the poll, you just have to tap your preference and hit submit. However, anticipating that some of you may have some technical issues, others have multiple people on one device, and others have dialed in, we have an alternate voting option for you. If any of these apply to you, you can text your first and last name as well as your vote for the resolutions. That would be yes, no, or abstain to the number that is currently on the screen. If you can't see it, it's 253-561-1149. If you didn't catch that, don't worry. I'll be repeating it quite a bit tonight. Before we move forward with these resolutions? Are there any questions?
Excuse me, Jordan.
Yeah.
Would you remind people to state their names when they make motions and when they second, so for the minutes?
Yes, thank you, Steve. We'll want first and last names for the minutes. So before I call on, or when I call on someone, I'll say it out loud, and then just repeat it for the record so that we can make sure everything is squared away. Any other questions?
Jordan, David Toledo here.
Hey, David, how's it going?
Good. For speakers for and against, how are you selecting them? Are we just putting a hand up? Are we trying to jump in as fast as we can verbally? What's the process for your choosing speakers for and against?
Please raise your virtual hand and I will call on folks for both the resolutions and the endorsements later. Some people have let me know ahead of time, specifically for the resolutions, the people who submitted them, that they would like to speak in favor of the resolutions if they are here on time. So just raise your virtual hand and I'll call on folks.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any more questions before we move on? All right, seeing no more questions, we'll go to our resolutions. So Anne, would you please introduce the first one?
The first resolution is a resolution denouncing the arrest of Mohammed Zaid Chaudhry and detention by ICE of American residents and demanding their release. Chaudhry is a resident of the 33rd Legislative District, a neighboring district, and he was arrested when he went in for a hearing for his citizenship. And we are saying, resolve the 34th District Democrats call for the immediate release of Chaudhry from solitary confinement and ICE custody, processing of his naturalization as a citizen, and that he get due process guaranteed by the U.S. Constitution, protecting freedoms and rights, fostering open dialogue, and refraining from any actions that contribute to or support the unjust criminalization of activism or the targeting of individuals for their political beliefs and activism. Be it further resolved, the 34th District Democrats call for the application of due process guarantees for all detained people and release of individuals who have not been convicted of a crime, and urge that those committing legal acts pertaining to the detention of Zaid and others be brought to justice in accordance with the U.S. Constitution. And be it finally resolved, the 34th District Democrats resoundingly condemn the arrest of Chaudhry as a blatant violation of the right of free speech and and reaffirm our commitment to defending democracy, human rights, and the fundamental freedoms that define our nation. This is a resolution that has been passed in some form by other legislative districts, and I would ask for a motion to pass this resolution.
This is Roxanne Thayer. I move to pass this resolution.
I will second. This is Bunny Hatcher.
Thank you, Roxanne and Bunny. Before we move on to debate for the underlying resolution, are there any amendments anyone would like to propose to this resolution? Any amendments? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to debate on the underlying resolution. Roxanne, since you made the motion, the floor is yours for 2 minutes.
This is a man who has been before immigration hearings multiple times and has passed without a problem. He served in the U.S. Military forces and was wounded. He has children in this country. This is clearly a targeted attack by the current administration to punish him for speaking up for human rights. Thank you.
Thank you, Roxanne. Is there a speaker against adopting this resolution? Any speaker against adopting this resolution? Okay, seeing none, we will try this the easy way. Is there any objection to adopting this resolution? Any objection to adopting this resolution? Okay, seeing none, we will consider the resolution adopted without objection. Thank you, everyone. We will, with that, move on to our next resolution, which is a resolution on Gaza. So Anne, we'll go back over to you.
Okay, this resolution is one that asks that well, I'll just read the therefore be it resolved. Therefore be it resolved, the 34th Legislative District unequivocally condemns, and should I read it with the proposed amendments?
Well, no, we'll just read it as it is,
Okay,
and then
I'm sorry.
there's some folks who
I'm
have.
gonna have to read this a little bit. And recognize the immediate need to reopen the humanitarian corridor in Gaza and urges its elected Washington State Democratic congressional delegation members to support A, an immediate ceasefire, B, an arms embargo, and C, suspension of military aid to Israel. And be it further resolved, the 34th District Legislative District affirms its commitment to international law, human rights for all people, an immediate and continual supply delivery chain open for humanitarian focused life-saving food and medical care in Gaza, and the pursuit of a just and lasting peace for all in the region. And be it finally resolved, the 34th District Democrats will communicate this position clearly to the Washington State Democratic congressional delegation, elected officials, and the DNC. This is just stating clearly our support for aid to Gaza and recognizing that there are the majority of Democratic senators who have supported this kind of a resolution to block offensive arms shipments to Israel. I would ask for a motion to adopt.
This is Roxanne Thayer. I'll move to adopt.
Second,
Gail
Rachel.
Summers, second.
Rachel, I heard you first, so we'll go ahead and include you on that one. Are there any amendments?
I have some friendly amendments I'd like to add to clarify and address the urgency of this resolution because as we know, even today, we know that it's been clearly identified by scholars nationwide as a genocide, and even today, what's been happening is horrific. So I'd like to add a few friendly amendments to clarify the urgency of it.
Okay, go ahead, Roxanne. For those who opened the document and for those who are watching your Zoom screens, Roxanne has communicated these amendments to me in advance. So I have them noted here on the side. As we go through them, if the body would like to approve them, I will simply hit accept. If folks are opposed, then I will hit reject. But as Roxanne mentioned, a lot of these are friendly, or all of these are friendly amendments and don't change the effect of the resolution. Roxanne, you want to go ahead?
Yes, exactly. They don't change the effect of the resolution. They just address the urgency of it. So the starting from whereas, the very first whereas the ongoing and now critical has been added humanitarian crisis in Gaza due to the current use of famine as a weapon of war and bombing of food and healthcare sites has been added, has resulted in the documented lives of over 60,000, documented loss of over 60,000 lives, displacement of 1.7 million Palestinians, and widespread destruction at the hands of the Israeli government. And second, whereas, and I begin right after the whereas with the new words that you can see there. This month, the world's biggest academic association of genocide scholars has passed a resolution saying the legal criteria has been met to establish Israel is committing genocide in Gaza, along with intentional humanitarian organizations such as the United Nations, Human Rights Watch, and Amnesty International have characterized the humanitarian situation as catastrophic. And there is an added reference there, and that relates to that academic association of genocide scholars. And then we go down to the first, the therefore. So therefore, be it resolved, and you can see on the screen, and I will read the additions. Therefore, be it resolved, the 34th Legislative District unequivocally condemns addition, the use of famine as a weapon of war and bombing of healthcare personnel and sites. That's the addition. The next, be it further resolved, the 34th Legislative District affirms, and here's the addition, and requests that our Democratic congressional delegation also affirms a commitment to U.S. law, international law, human rights, etc. The final one, be it finally resolved, the 34th District Democrats, and here's the addition, request that the Washington State Democratic Party urgently consider and support this resolution at their September 2025 meeting. And then the one reference comes from The Hague, the group of scholars who have identified it beyond a shadow of a doubt as genocide. Okay, I'm complete.
Thank you, Roxanne.
I'd like to move acceptance of these amendments. Ann Martin.
Thank you, Ann. Is there a second?
I second it. This is Roger Leverett.
Thank you. Ann, would you like to speak to your motion?
I think this is such a quickly evolving situation that updating this makes it more current than our earlier resolution, which was a good resolution that we urged passage. But I do agree that updating it and making it more current is appropriate.
Thank you, Ann. Is there any speaker against adopting this slate of amendments? Any
Yes,
speaker?
David.
Okay, David, go ahead.
Thank you. First of all, I would just like to speak on a little history of the area, although I'm sure many of you are versed in it. I just want to real quickly mention that prior to 1967, there was no such term as Palestinian people. That area was occupied by either Egyptian Arabs or Jordan Arabs or the Palestinian Jews. Okay, so and the reason that I say that is because I want to be sure that when I refer to Arabs, we're all clear that I'm talking about the Palestinians. So I think it's important to mention a few things. First of all, the Israeli Knesset, which is their government, has 10 Arabs representing out of the 102 members of their parliament, 10 are Arabs. That's important to mention. Second thing is that since 2006, when Israel vacated the West Bank, the population of the Palestinians has grown from 3.65 million to 5.59 million. So to say that there's genocide happening there is just not honest. It's not realistic. Okay, their population has doubled. They have representation in the Jewish government. So I think that's important to mention. And the last thing to say is the Palestinians are still holding hostages. Okay, they just posted a video a week ago of one of those hostages in a tunnel being starved to death. Okay, so I understand that there's a lot of emotions. I understand that no one wants to see the destruction that is happening there. We do need a solution, but to say that that Israel is committing genocide and to not mention Hamas at all or the hostages in this resolution, I don't think that's fair. I think we need to take a step back and really look at what's happening there and understand what's happening in that region. Thank you.
May I respond?
Well, we have our structured debate, so I'll need to be reminded who was the second. Steve, do you have the name for who that was?
I was the second, Roger Leverett.
Right, yeah, sorry about that.
Okay, thank you. Roger, so the floor is yours. And because the floor is yours, it's your time to yield as you see fit. So if you would like to cede your time to another eligible voting member, that could be Roxanne. I also see Elizabeth has her hand raised, but the time is yours.
Thank you. Can I have a brief comment and then cede time?
Yes.
Okay, my brief comment is that there is an unequivocal international agreement that genocide is being pursued, and Hamas is a very sad side issue, but does not change the resolution's veracity. And I cede the rest of the time.
To who? Roxanne, we have Roxanne said she would like to respond, but Elizabeth also has her hand raised.
I have to decide. Elizabeth.
I'm raising my hand to speak against.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Elizabeth. Roxanne, then you are free to take the floor if you would like. You have about a minute, 26 seconds.
At this time, okay. I also lived in Israel, actually in Jerusalem and Israel in the early 1970s. And the people there referred to themselves as Palestinians, one. Two, the world's biggest academic association of genocide scholars have now called this a genocide. Three, the hostages are being starved to death just as the people of Gaza are also being starved to death. Every person that they've released from captivity has said that they were treated very well by Hamas, even to the point of Hamas fighters laying their bodies over people when the bombs were coming in from Israel. This resolution needs to pass because we are facing a Holocaust here. Thank you.
Okay. Elizabeth, your hand was up to speak against adopting these amendments to the resolution. So if you would like to, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I think we can all agree that the situation in the Middle East is complex and continues to be complex, and Gaza is an example of the complexity. What concerns me about the resolution is no mention of Hamas and Hamas's role in the current famine situation in Gaza. And I think that's a distortion of the reality of the situation. The Israeli government obviously has policies to attempt to eradicate Hamas. Hamas continues to be an active threat against the nation of Israel, as witnessed by the attack in October of last year. So to not even mention that they have committed acts such as hijacking supply trucks and using the supplies for their own troops rather than the people. Ignoring the fact that they have embedded themselves and their facilities in the population, making it very difficult to conduct a war without horrible collateral damage. The situation is painful. The people are starving. The people are suffering. We all want that suffering to stop. I think doing a resolution like this does not move that situation forward because it ignores the role of Hamas in the situation. Thank you.
Okay, with that, our debate on the amendments is concluded. We do have a Zoom poll for this. So if you see the Zoom poll come up, just a reminder, please only vote if you are a voting member. If you're not, we ask that you simply just X out of the poll so things can move along a bit quicker. And as an additional reminder, if you are texting in your vote, the number is 253-561-1149. We will leave voting open for 2 minutes. Carla, will you please launch the poll and we will get that started.
Jordan, just to confirm, this is the first amend Gaza ballot, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I am not seeing the ballot yet on the site. I'm on a cell phone. Does that mean I need to go to phone vote?
Yes, and I can repeat the phone number for you if you'd like. And for anyone else who missed it, I also have it back up on the screen. 253-561-1149.
I dialed in, it states that it is not available. Can I send my vote to Steve Butts or whoever's collecting them?
No, you should be able to just text your vote in. I mean, it's not available.
I'll try it again.
Okay. I'm assuming you're an affirmative vote, though.
Yes.
Doc.
All right, the 2-minute timer is up, so we'll go ahead and close the poll. And when we have some results, we will share them with the group.
And one more input on that 253-561-1149. Someone texted back and said, "Who is this?" So you know what my vote is. It's evidently not getting to you.
Well, yeah, so when you, just a reminder for everyone, when you text your vote in, please include your first and last name. That way we can verify against our members list. who is an eligible voter for resolutions, and then when we get into endorsements, for endorsements.
Jordan, Roger Levitt here. Could you just confirm that the Zoom vote does not require identification of the voter?
It is not on your end. So we have a program that we have that on our end that runs submitted votes against our eligible member list. So we screen for ineligible votes.
Thank you.
Yep.
So, did you see the comment from Rachel? That the ballot should pop up in the words.
Anne, it's Rachel. Did you just say something? I heard my name, but I couldn't hear what you were saying.
I just wanted to make sure that Jordan had seen your comment about where the ballot should appear. Sorry. Anything we say can be heard.
Yes. Hot mic.
Jordan, I'm going to make a quick suggestion. There's a lot of questions in the chat around membership. I believe that the chat is open to send a message to an individual. If anybody has any questions about whether they are an eligible voter, I think it would be great if we could have Sealy take those and just pull it up in NGP and confirm, so there's no question.
Okay.
Yeah, since Sealy's fielding the text votes, let's have folks message Hannah. For those who don't know Hannah,
I'm unmuting right now.
you'll see her as Hannah Cameron, co-host in the meeting.
Yeah, so there's 2 or 3 folks in the chat, Hannah, just to confirm.
Awesome. We are currently working through this first batch, and then for anyone who has sent a message, I will respond to you through DM. And if you don't get a response from me after I say, I think I've gotten to everyone, feel free to DM me. And we'll go from there.
Richard, I see your hands up.
Yes, I was just wondering, Jordan, if you and Ann both could move closer to the microphones. Very hard to hear you tonight. It's muffled.
Yes.
Other people are sounding much clearer and have much more volume. It's just you're a little in distant mode.
Hey, can you hear me now, Richard?
You can come up a little closer, Ann. You're still in the background. Echo.
Okay, can you hear me now?
A little better.
I'm right on top of the mic, so I don't know.
Yeah, there's echo in the room then.
Well, I
Okay.
agree. I put in the chat, I can't hear the speakers. I can hear the other people responding, but I can't hear Jordan and anybody who's the main speakers. It's very, very soft. It's hard to hear.
Thank you. Signing out.
Is that better? Or no change?
No.
No change really.
Just sounds a little muffled. And that's unusual because that doesn't usually happen.
Right.
I think it's because the folks that are in the room together, everybody that's saying that they're muffled are the ones that are in the room. So anybody
Correct.
have a headset? Headsets might be helpful.
I'm trying something. Okay, is that any better or still the same?
Yes,
Great.
it is better.
Okay, we will leave it like that then, unless
Is it okay for me?
Yeah, get in his lap, Ann.
Well, I
Get
almost
as close as
am.
you can in the microphone.
Yes, better. Yes.
Better.
Great.
Thank you.
Glad that worked.
It's better.
Yes, thank you.
I'm going to lower your hand, Richard.
But if you're waiting for the result is clear. We're just trying to figure out if there are any valid voters that are flagged as invalid right now.
We're just gonna hold off. Just to try to get ahead of any confusion, this vote was on amending the resolution. So we will be debating the resolution. We have an opportunity to debate the resolution itself, inclusive of the amendments. And then we will have another vote to adopt the underlying resolution. Just in case anyone was going to get confused by voting on what might seem like the resolution twice.
Jordan,
Yes.
in the interest of time, we're 45 minutes in and we're on ballot 2 of 15. Is there any way that we can layer these up a little bit?
We kind of can. So the resolutions are, I have some things I want to say about the next one before we go into it. But I don't want to get too far into that one before we have a chance to get through this. So once we get into endorsements, it should go much faster. It will go somewhat faster now that we're through the first poll.
Could we do good of the order during these weeks?
I just got the results in from that vote.
There you
so
go.
We're good to go. So we had 34 votes come in, valid votes come in supporting the amendments and 1 opposed, which means that the amendments pass with 97%. And we will move on to debating the underlying resolution inclusive of the now adopted amendments. I will pull the resolution back up for everyone on Zoom. Roxanne, you were the original motion on the underlying resolution, so the floor is yours again for 2 minutes.
Okay, I'm not sure that I need 2 minutes, but I think the resolution speaks for itself. We are in very dire times, and I'd like to read just a little bit on the Reuters account of the global genocide group declaring this a genocide. It states that several international rights groups, including Israeli NGOs, have already accused Israel of committing genocide. So both within Israel and outside of Israel, the accusation of genocide is solid. And I hope that we can pass this unanimously. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Roxanne. Is there anyone who'd like to speak against the adoption of the underlying resolution inclusive of the amendments? Any speakers against adopting the underlying resolution inclusive of the amendments? Okay, seeing none, we will try this the easy way. We'll see if it works. If it doesn't, we do have a ballot prepared. Is there any objection to adopting the underlying resolution inclusive of the amendments?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Elizabeth. We will do the Zoom poll and the text to vote. So Carla, will you please launch? There you go. And then I'll pull this back up for folks who need a reminder of the phone number. If you cannot see the phone number on the screen, it is 253-561-1149. Please send your first and last name as well as your vote. Thank you.
Could this be a time for a question for the chair? This is Roger Leverett. I'm interested if there's any understanding of the 74 participants, but only 34 voters.
I can answer that. Hey, Roger, this is Hannah Cameron speaking. Part of that is our meetings are open to the public, so anyone can dial in, whether you're a member or not. And additionally, I can confirm that we're having folks vote who are not members. So that's why you might hear that the number of people, or, it might seem like the number of people in the meeting is not equivalent to the number of votes cast. There's a number of rules and kind of in our bylaws that stipulate who can vote for different things. And so you might see that number change over time as we're contemplating different matters. But if you're ever concerned that your vote hasn't been counted or anything like that, you can feel free to DM me. And I can confirm that we've got your vote or not. In that same vein, for some reason, I'm not able to see all of the past chat. And so if you are someone who is concerned and wondering if you are a current member or not, just DM me and I will make sure to get back to you. I just don't want to miss anyone because of chat inconsistencies. Thank you.
Carla, I lost track of the poll. Did it get closed?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Hold on, we got it. So while we're waiting on results for that one, for those who saw my email out on Monday, I'd like to talk a little bit about what that was, but also before I get too far into it, here we go. I'm putting a link in the chat that goes to a draft letter. If you saw my email on Monday, you were already aware of this. If you didn't, the state party is requiring that we submit a one-page letter justifying our request that this resolution and the next be considered with urgency at their September meeting. So if this resolution passes as it's amended, we will be submitting it to the state party, but they won't take it up unless we also include some sort of letter. So once we have results on the letter, once we have results on the resolution, if it passes, we'll take up the letter. I will be showing that live for the folks on Zoom. And then if you also have your own copy, you're welcome to review your own as well. Okay, so this letter here is the draft letter that was included in my Monday email. Basically what it says, it justifies the need to consider this urgently at the state party. So the state party has, just for some background, they have a 30-day deadline for submitting resolutions for consideration at their meetings. For resolutions that come in with that plan to be submitted after the deadline, they have to be submitted as a quote urgent resolution. So this letter that I sent out on Monday, and I'm showing you now, justifies the urgency of the resolution. Again, if the resolution passes, the state party will only take it if we also send them a letter of some sort. So we will take this up. We're still waiting on some final results, but
Roger has his hand up.
Roger, go ahead.
Are you talking to Roger Leverett?
Yes, you have your hand up?
No, I'm sorry. I'm just, that was inadvertent hit. Sorry.
Just wanted to check, make sure we weren't.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, so I'm seeing some results for the underlying resolution. We have 41 votes supporting passing the resolution as amended, 4 opposed, which means the underlying resolution as amended passes with 91%. Which means we can now take up this letter. Is there a motion to adopt this letter justifying the urgency of the Gaza resolution?
Preston Anderson, so moved.
Thank you, Preston. Is there a second?
I second.
Was that you, Julie?
Yes, I'm sorry, Julie.
Okay, thank you, Julie. Preston, since you made the motion, you're welcome to speak to it.
I'll just be brief. There's another resolution that I'll be supporting, so I'll speak more at length as to kind of the need for these resolutions and the urgency. But I think one thing is pretty important is that we have this opportunity as Democrats to take the lead on this issue, since the leadership has been really vacated by our elected officials in DC. Many of our elected Democratic officials in DC have vacated their responsibility to address the situation. It's just gotten worse. I've spoke out on this issue early on in 2023, shortly after the Hamas attack against Israel. And I was pretty clear about the war crimes committed by Hamas at the time, and also the war crimes being committed by Israel in early 2023. I wrote a letter to Senators Patty Murray, wrote a letter to Senator Cantwell, wrote a letter to President Biden, which I got response back from, and then also wrote a letter to Congressperson Pramila Jayapal. I did not get response back from either one of the congressional delegations for the 34th. But I think now is time for us Democrats to speak out loudly and say this has to stop, it has to change, something has to give. We can't just be deferential to our elected officials in DC. That is all I have.
Okay, thank you, Preston. Is there any speaker against adopting this letter requesting urgent consideration? Any speaker against adopting the letter? All right, is there any objection to adopting the letter? Any objection to adopting the letter? Okay, seeing none, we will consider the letter adopted without objection. I think that wraps up everything to do with that resolution, correct? Amended, adopted, and letter approved. Okay, so before we go into our next resolution, I want to take an opportunity to further explain my email from Monday. So as with the Gaza resolution, this final resolution about condemning some of the U.S. Senate votes for Washington senators, or specifically Senator Cantwell, supporting the supply of offensive weapons to Israel includes an additional consideration. So last week, I received 6 phone calls from WSDCC leadership, each asking that in some fashion that I circumvent our resolutions process and withdraw the resolution from consideration. After expressing my strong feelings about how this would be wrong, the final call that I received last Friday offered what is by definition a quid pro quo. In exchange for not considering the resolution, the state party agreed to coordinate a meeting between Senator Cantwell's office, likely her staff, and our district's leadership to discuss her position on arming Israel. If we consider the resolution, regardless of whether it passes, it's my understanding that the state party will not play a role in coordinating that meeting. The reason being that they would prefer that we take a private conversation than publicly condemn the vote. So after my email went out on Monday, I continued to get phone calls asking me to commit our leadership to a meeting before we have the opportunity to bring the issue before the body. As I said in my email, I feel that this type of pressure is anti-democratic. Elected officials should be willing to meet with people who disagree with them, not use meetings as a bargaining chip. The state party should be concerning itself with its own resolution process, deciding whether or not to take up what is brought to them, and reflecting the will of their members. They shouldn't be putting top-down pressure on more local organizations to tell us what debate we should or should not allow. Whether we take the meeting or consider the resolution is not my decision to make. It's yours as our members. My job is, as your chair, is to shepherd that process and stand by whatever your collective decision might be. Whether or not I have a preference is of no consequence. I'm meant to lend my voice to yours, not the other way around. Rather than bend to what's being asked of me outside of our organization, I will continue to do what I think is right and allow for and actually encourage disagreement and debate. These are essential to democracy and to democratic institutions like this one, and your right to publicly express your support for or opposition to the positions of your public officials is fundamental to the foundations of what we claim to fight for as an organization. So feel free to speak your mind and vote your conscience, and whatever you choose is what we will do. So long story long, here's how I'd like to handle this final resolution. I will let Ann introduce the resolution as typical, and this is where things will change. So I will then ask for a motion and second for both a meeting with Cantwell's office as well as to consider the resolution. I will open up debate in the following order: a speaker for the resolution, a speaker for the meeting, a speaker for the resolution, and a speaker for the meeting. Those who will speak will be those people who make and second each of the 2 motions. If others want to speak, please feel free to raise your virtual hand. If there are more than 2 people with their hands raised after our first 4 speakers, I'll allow for up to 2 more speakers for each option, continuing to alternate as per usual. And then after that, we will move straight into a vote, and whichever option gets a simple majority will be the one we select. To be clear, just to make sure everyone understands why we're doing it this way, if the meeting option is selected, we will not take another vote, and we'll move straight into tonight's endorsements. If the resolution option is selected, we will take up the resolution with our usual process, meaning an opportunity for amendment, debate, and a final vote. And if we select the resolution and it passes, I do have another letter drafted, which was sent out in my Monday email, urging the state parties' urgent consideration of the resolution. If those things fail, then we won't be sending it to the state. And from what I've understood, because we considered the resolution, the state party coordinating a meeting will be off the table, though I will follow up with both the state and with Cantwell's office to explain our process and our decision as an organization. That may have been pretty complicated. So I will pause for a moment And if there are any questions before we get started, feel free to raise your hand.
I have a question, but I'm not able to raise my hand.
Go ahead.
Somehow got in on my cell phone in an odd way. When our community wanted to meet with Senator Cantwell regarding the FAA, we sent in a letter requesting a meeting with her, and we received a letter, an email back with her signature stating that she did not do anything that wasn't related to the federal government, and so the FAA was not something she'd meet with us on. So I called their downtown office and said, what? FAA, Federal Aviation Administration, has the word federal in it. And her staff said, oh, sorry, we didn't know what it meant. And they then proceeded to tell me that Senator Cantwell has no time in the foreseeable future for meetings with constituents, which clearly means, and since then I've heard that from several other people in different legislative districts at other meetings, which means that likely it would not be a meeting with Senator Cantwell. It would be a meeting with her staff. Thank you.
Okay, does anyone have a question about the process?
I do.
Hang on, Colton, I saw your hand came up. Did you have a question about the process?
Yeah, sorry, just a quick clarifying question. So if I understand correctly, so we are discussing the meeting recommendation first. And was it correct that if that receives just a simple majority, we won't even go into discussing the resolution or deciding upon that?
So we're debating both at the same time, only because the way it was put to me by the state party is that it's either or.
Perfect. Okay, thank you.
The first vote will be to either take a meeting as coordinated by the state party, or to move forward considering the resolution. And then if the meeting is selected, then we won't move forward with the resolution, because from what I was told from several people at the state party, if we take a meeting, then the expectation is that we do not do a resolution. Yeah, so.
Perfect. That's helpful. Thank you, Jordan.
Paul, I see your hands up. Is this a question about process?
Hi, Jordan. I wanted to provide some context, and I'm not sure when may be the appropriate time to do that. So not necessarily about process, but would appreciate the opportunity to add some context from Senator Cantwell's office.
I'm getting input from my fellow e-board members here. So the only people who are allowed to speak on issues at our meetings are eligible voting members. So unless you're an eligible voting member, then I can't give you the floor. Sorry.
No, I appreciate that. And I'll just chime in with Chad, given that there is multiple inconsistencies or inaccurate statements being shared, that I would appreciate the opportunity to clarify in chat, but I will respect the rules. Thank you.
Okay, sorry, I'll just have to ask that you don't put anything in our chat. If you'd like, you and I can correspond offline via email or phone call or text. But we have to reserve our chat for folks who are eligible voting members. Thank you. David, I see your hands up.
Can I cede my time to Colton? I'm a voting member.
Sorry, what was that?
May I cede my time to Colton so that we can receive that information? I am a voting member and would like to cede my time to him. May I do that?
Time can only be ceded to eligible voting members. So did you mean not Colton, because Colton is?
No, I meant I would like to hear what Colton had to say about Cantwell's office. But if you're saying that I'm not allowed to do that, then okay, that's what I was asking.
Okay, yeah,
that was not David.
That was not Colton.
That was not Colton that said that they would like to clarify Cantwell's office?
No.
No, I was asking about the voting process. I believe that was a representative from Cantwell's office named Paul you're referring to.
Okay. Well, I'd like to cede it to Paul, if that sounds possible.
It's not. Paul's not an eligible voting member.
Okay, that's fine. If we can move with the vote, then maybe I can cede my time at that point. Thank you.
Okay, Carla, I see your hands up.
I know we're contemplating a vote, but I don't know why we could not have a point of information. I feel a little uncomfortable that we're not allowing someone from our elected official's office to speak when we are taking potentially action that is quite aggressive. Do we have a parliamentarian that knows?
I can, Carla, I can double check and look at things. I did respond to Kenny in the chat asking for this same concept. My understanding, and I will go double check in our bylaws real quick, is that it is in our bylaws, not our rules, and therefore we cannot suspend a bylaw. We could suspend a rule by vote, but I will go double check that because it seems worth being sure about.
Gina Top is apparently on the call. Would Gina be able to answer such a question?
If Gina is available and would like to chime in, she's welcome to.
Yeah. I know that Gina is both in a school board meeting and in our meeting, which is why I'm volunteering to look.
Yeah, she's here tonight.
Good evening. I'm sorry, Jordan, you'll have to just catch me up a little bit here. What is the question on the table from your perspective?
So we have a guest in the meeting, Paul Quinones, who is from Senator Cantwell's office, and is not an eligible voting member, but is requesting time to speak about some background on the issues related to the resolution that we're about to consider. So the question is someone who is not an eligible voting member allowed to come into our meetings and discuss an issue that we are voting on?
So a non-member besides a candidate for when we do endorsements is unable to speak for or against a resolution. They would have to be a member of the 34th, and folks are unable to cede time to that person. What I heard a little bit different was there was a question or a point of order that may have been had.
Yeah, someone had asked if there could be a point of information, but the point of information would be to ask that non-member to speak.
Got it. That would be my advice. If there is new information regarding what was discussed or what was presented, Jordan, it would be on your decision whether you wanted that new information to be shared. But otherwise, when we're in the process of voting for a resolution, we have strict rules that it's a for and against speakers, and they must be members.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. Is there a motion to consider a meeting? So this is kind of where folks can get into debating the issues back and forth. So just to reiterate the process, I'm going to call for motions and seconds for both a meeting with Cantwell's office and to consider the resolution so that we can debate the two options at one time. If there's a need to extend debate, I will go up to an additional 2 speakers. So one in favor of the resolution, one in favor of the meeting. And we will continue with the process in that way. So is there a motion to consider the resolution?
Steve is the submitter. Steve Butts is the submitter.
This is Preston Anderson. I'd like to make a motion to consider the adoption of the resolution.
Okay, thank you, Preston. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Steve Butts, I'll second.
Thank you, Steve. Is there a motion to, rather than consider the resolution, take a meeting with Cantwell's office? David, I see your hands raised.
Yes, I'd like to make that motion.
This is Peter
Thank you,
Newbold. I
David. Is there a
second.
second?
Peter
Sorry, who was
Newbold,
that?
I second.
Thank you. Preston, since you made the motion for considering the resolution. Oh, sorry. Yes, Anne is reminding me that we skipped a step. Anne, if you'd like to introduce the resolution, I will pull it up so folks can see it on Zoom as well. And we're good to go.
Okay, this resolution is basically regarding our US senators' votes on arming of Israel. And therefore be it resolved reads as follows. Therefore be it resolved, the 34th District Democrats condemn Senator Maria Cantwell's vote to continue sending weapons to Israel while it is carrying out a genocide against the Palestinian people, despite overwhelming support for a ceasefire and arms embargo throughout the Democratic Party statewide. And be it further resolved, the 34th District Democrats appreciate Senator Patty Murray's vote to stop sending weapons to Israel while it is carrying out a genocide against the Palestinian people. And be it finally resolved, the 34th District Democrats urge Senator Cantwell and Murray to take concrete actions against the ongoing Israeli genocide and come out in full support of the liberation of the Palestinian people and end to the apartheid regime and the recognition of a Palestinian state. You will notice that I emphasize the word vote. We are not condemning or commending either Cantwell or Murray, but are commenting on their vote. And I know it's been moved, so.
Okay, thank you, Anne. Preston, since you made the motion for considering the resolution, you're welcome to speak to it.
Yes, thank you. And I'm hopeful that most of the membership that is voting tonight had an opportunity to read the resolution. I think it's important to be informed about this, and hopefully, during the last 2 years, you've been kind of keeping up on the situation in Gaza. I spoke out on the war crimes that Israel was committing back in early 2023, made it pretty clear that Israel was committing war crimes based upon the reporting from experts in the field. I take this very personally. I am a Army veteran. I have been deployed to Iraq, and I take this very, very seriously. It is a stain upon our military force when we have our so-called closest ally, Israel, committing these war crimes. I would remind folks that when we invaded Iraq, we did not level the entire city of Baghdad. Baghdad is 72 square miles. Gaza, the entire territory of Gaza is 141 square miles. 80% of Gaza has been leveled. Schools, hospitals, residences, children, women, babies have been just destroyed by our US bombs. And so it's important that our Senator Cantwell take the lead and do the right thing. And I've stressed this many times that it is important that if she doesn't take the lead, it is important for us Democrats in the 34th to do that, to do the right thing, to stand with a degree of integrity. And I appreciate the leadership of Jordan taking this opportunity to do that. It's a tough stand to make, considering the pushback against, from the institution itself. But I do appreciate those who have taken that stand and shown some integrity. So I hope everyone else can do that tonight and stand for this resolution and its adoption. Thank you.
Thank you, Preston. David, since you made the motion to
Sure.
take a meeting with Senator Campbell, you are welcome.
Thank you. First, I would just like to say that I don't think integrity is one side is only on one side of this. To use that term as though only the people that are standing on that side of the issue have integrity. That's very disappointing, I will say. I would also say that we need to be cautious of the inflammatory language of this resolution. Again, to use words like apartheid, when Israel has 10% Arabs in their Congress, their parliament, and the US has only 2% Arabs in ours, is hypocritical. So again, let's be sure that we're educated on these issues, that we're not trying to use inflammatory rhetoric to get our point across. Now, as far as this goes, I feel like we should give Senator Cantwell the opportunity to address this in person. She's put out that invitation. I feel like it's disrespectful for us to say, no, we're not going to honor your wishes. We voted for her. We chose her as our senator. And now we have people saying that we're going to circumvent her. We're going to go around her. There are many issues here that I'm sure she'd like to discuss. One of them being that disarming Israel isn't just a Israel-Palestinian issue. Israel is engaged in conflicts and is protecting basically the world from Hezbollah, from the Houthis, from Iran. All of those are things we need to consider when we hear somebody saying that we need to stop providing weapons to Israel and playing on our emotions. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Steve, you were the second on the resolution, so you're welcome to speak to it.
Well, I really appreciate the things that Maria Campbell has done over the years, especially like when she took on, Enron back 20 years ago. And then recently she did a superb job, taking on RFK Jr. in the Senate last week. But she's out of step with the rest of the party, and I do not think that we should allow her to dictate to us what her policy is going to be. We should be telling her what our beliefs are and what we want her to do as our representative. And so it was really kind of disheartening to see her stand next to Benjamin Netanyahu a few weeks ago, and when he was in Washington D.C. to visit this country. He's a wanted man in many of the countries around the world, due to this conflict that's going on right now, and to see her take this position while at the same time 27 of her fellow Democrats in the Senate have voted to disarm, not to send arms to Israel. Basically, I think we just need to send her a message. Let her know where we stand on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Peter, you were the second on taking the meeting, so you're welcome to speak to that.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening, everybody. I want to just look at this more from a procedural and political angle on how we're dealing with our senator who's served us well since 2001. I respect all the members of the Resolutions Committee. Some of my best friends are in the 34th or on that committee. But I think it is intemperate to condemn, and use that word condemn, a U.S. senator's vote without hearing her explanation. It is something that is likely, if it stands, likely to be twisted by Republicans and opponents of a Democratic majority in the Senate, if that language stands. So I really feel that we have an opportunity to hear from the senators, folks, on what the reasoning was. I don't know what it was. I don't know what the context of the vote was. And it would be not essential, in my view, to pass this resolution tonight, to have a hurry up measure go to the King County, pardon me, to the Washington State Democratic Committee. So I would urge slow down a little bit and cautious treatment of our valued U.S. Senator. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. I'm not seeing any additional hands raised. Bunny, I see your hand is
Yeah,
raised.
I just have a question. If we
Sure.
were to vote to meet with Cantwell's office rather than pass this resolution tonight, does that preclude our being able to pass such a resolution in the future?
From my understanding, yes.
Okay. Thank you. That makes a difference.
Art, I see your hands up.
Art, you're on mute.
Okay. So this is just my opinion. But I believe that anytime that a country, whether it's an ally of the United States or not, and we have sent them weapons, that if they are using
Hold on
those
one second. Art, are you speaking for either of the options?
Oh, I'm speaking for the resolution.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify before we moved along. Marilee, I see your hand is up. Are you speaking for the meeting?
I'm speaking for the resolution.
Okay, before we continue debate on this, I want to make sure that we're even-handed with time to speak. So if there's someone besides David or Peter who would like to speak for the meeting, please go ahead and raise your hand. If someone does pop up, then I'll extend debate to one additional person per side, and then we'll go into a vote.
Fair enough.
So is there anyone?
Excuse me, Jordan, are we speaking here about meeting with Cantwell? Is that the new resolution? Is that what we're voting
No,
on?
so there's I expected confusion, so thank you for asking the question. So we have been presented with a choice, an either or decision by the state party. So either we can take a meeting with Cantwell's office or we can move forward with a resolution. So to make this process as smooth as possible, even though it might not seem that way, I'm giving us the opportunity to debate both at the same time because it is an either or decision. We cannot do both. So we had so far 2 folks speak for the resolution and 2 for the meeting, which is our typical debate style. But because we're debating 2 things at the same time, I'm offering the opportunity to extend debate 1 speaker further. But I don't want to give preference to one side on debate. So given that we have 2 speakers who want to speak for the resolution, I'm looking for anyone besides either David Toledo or Peter Newbold who wants to speak for the meeting. If there is a third person, then we'll continue debate on this for 1 additional speaker per side. If not, then we'll close debate and we'll move into a vote on this for sake of time. So is there a third speaker who would like to speak in favor of taking a meeting with Cantwell's office? Is there a third speaker who'd like to take a meeting with Cantwell's office and to not consider the resolution? Okay, I'm not.
Ted has his.
Ted, your hand came up. Do you want to speak in favor of the meeting?
Yes, I would like to speak in favor of the meeting. I was just going to say,
oh, that's what that guy looks like.
and I want to say this as I am one of the 34th representatives to the State Central Committee. If the leadership of the state party does not want our resolution to pass at the state level. I don't think it will. And so I think if we go this resolution route, it's not going to get past the state party and we'll lose the chance for the meeting. So I think that may not be what we like, but I think from a real practicality point of view, it may be the best option. And I just wanted to throw that out there.
I kind of,
Okay, thank you, Ted.
so Art was.
Art, since you wanted to speak also in favor of the resolution, I'll hand the floor back over to you. So you're welcome to speak for 2 minutes.
All right, thank you very much. As I started to say, this is just my opinion, but I believe that it's shared by many of you. And that is that if we allow our country to send munitions to another country, whether they're an ally or not, that when that country uses those munitions illegally to kill civilians, that we have an obligation to speak up and to condemn the resolution or that was passed and voted on by Cantwell, and let them know that this is not the way the 34th Democrats feel that this should be done. It's immoral. And to just go along with it and say, oh, well, we should let Cantwell address this. She addressed it in her actions. She has already voted to send arms to Israel time and time again. And this is the last straw. That's all I've got. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Art. With that, I will close debate and we will move into a vote. Before we launch the poll, I just want to remind folks that this is an either or vote. If the meeting option gets a simple majority support from the body, we will move forward with the meeting option. I will work with the state party and Cantwell's office to schedule a meeting. If we move forward with the resolution, then we will go through the typical resolutions process. With that, Carla, will you please launch the poll, and I will open this back up for the folks who need the phone number to text their vote. If for the folks who can't see the number on the screen, it's 253-561-1149.
Jordan, is
Yes.
this the adopt Cantwell resolution, Cantwell meeting or resolution, or amend Cantwell resolution?
Meeting or resolution.
Okay.
Jordan,
Yes.
it's Rachel. I just have a point of clarification.
Go ahead.
Says to consider the resolution. Is that different from approving the resolution, or?
Yes, so if considering the resolution carries the favor of the membership, we're going to go through our typical resolutions process. So we'll have a process of amending.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Amendments and the underlying resolution. This is just which path we're taking.
There's a question in the chat about the voting process. You do not need to text in your vote if you have done the on-screen version. Only need to go once. Jordan, the poll has ended.
I sent my vote in as text, but it doesn't read as read. It just says delivered. Hopefully it's read.
Okay, thank you. We're checking those right now.
I'm getting a question about who's the one speaking to the order. Hey, Rachel, to just, oh, excuse me, wait, sorry. Never mind, I thought you had messaged me. Hi, Rachel.
While we're waiting for some results here, I do just want to take a minute to thank everyone for being willing to engage in these conversations and doing so respectfully. These are heavy issues, and I understand that very well. Both, well, all three of the resolutions are addressing issues that are of great concern to a lot of people. And I know there is some disagreement within the Democratic Party on this. So being able to have reasonable dialogue within our organization is great to see. So I just wanted to thank everyone for doing that. All right, so we have results on that vote. We had 35 votes cast in favor of the resolution, 14 opposed. So 71% of the members voted to move forward with consideration of the resolution. So with that, I will put the text of the resolution back up for the folks on Zoom. And the first step of this, just like the first two, is to hear motions for amendment. So is there anyone who would like to make a motion to amend the resolution?
Stephen Lampier, I would like to make a motion to amend. And my motion would be to specify that these are defensive weapons, that we don't want to rule out defensive weapons. We want to rule out offensive weapons. So the language should, instead of just saying weapons, should say offensive weapons.
Okay, thank you. I've made a note of that. We will circle back to these. Preston, I see your hands up.
I believe the green font were the recommended amendments to the original resolution.
Yes, so just for transparency's sake, the folks who drafted these resolutions pre-submitted what they consider to be friendly amendments to the resolution, not changing the effect of it, but being a little bit more specific in the language and including some updates. So just like with the Gaza resolution, you'll see notes on the side here of what those amendments are. And I can just kind of walk through these relatively quickly. So in the heading, it would be adding specificity to Washington State U.S. Senators' votes. In this first whereas clause, it is adding the language of and currently using weapons provided by the U.S. to induce famine by targeting food sites and healthcare facilities. References for all of these are included at the bottom and also hyperlinked here on the numbers at the end of each clause. There's no change to the second whereas clause or the third. And skipping down to the fourth, it adds language that specifying that Senator Cantwell's vote was opposed to two resolutions, which would have ended the supply of arms to Israel and the perpetuation of the forced famine in Gaza. And then moving down to the therefore be it resolved clauses, we have some added specificity here and updates. So adding that we would recognize that it is already illegal for the U.S. to provide military assistance to countries blocking humanitarian aid. In the second resolved clause, it adds language urging Senators Cantwell and Murray, as well as the State Democratic Party, to act now and support the liberation of the Palestinian people and end the apartheid regime and recognition of a Palestinian state. But this is just moving language from the finally resolved clause up so that we can change the language of the final be it resolved clause to request that the State Democratic Party urgently consider and support this resolution at their September 2025 meeting. So these were all pre-submitted, considered friendly by the people who drafted the resolution. So outside of those, and then also noting Stephen's amendment to specify offensive weapons, are there any other amendments people would like to propose? Are there any other proposed amendments? Okay, seeing no hands coming up, we will move forward into debating the amendments. So if I believe either Preston or Roxanne, you two are the ones who submitted the first set of amendments to the resolution, and then Stephen, because you had yours. I will consider any two of you, preferably either Roxanne or Preston, and then Stephen for his, to speak in favor of the proposed amendments.
I'm willing to speak if necessary. I think we added some clarification that was essential. I did not draft this resolution. It actually came to the 34th from another legislative district. It was not written within our district. It is before a number of other legislative districts, and it came to us that way. But it needed some updating and clarification, including the Foreign Assistance Act, Section 620I, which we added to clarify and to make that point specific. And then the requests, like you said, the final be it finally resolved was basically moved up to the one above it, so that we could ask the Washington State Democratic Party to consider this as urgent, because the devastation is continuing as we're speaking tonight.
Thank you, Roxanne. Stephen, would you like to speak to your amendment?
Yes, I would. One of the things is Israel is in a unique position where they need to defend themselves from people who are not related to the Palestinian issue at all, defend themselves from bodies that are connected with Iran, the Houthis, for example. And they have an Iron Dome that we have supported to keep them safe. And that's the reason why we should modify the language to talk about not providing offensive weapons. That's all I have.
All right, thank you, Stephen. Anna, you'd like to speak against the amendments?
Yes, specifically, I'd like to speak against the amendment proposed by Stephen. So I'm not sure if there's a way to separate that one out so that we can vote on that separately or not. I don't want to speak against the other two amendments, if that's possible. So to speak against the amendment that Stephen just proposed, I'd like to provide some clarity around why this resolution has that language and why it is appropriate. I can share in the chat so that everybody has access to this information. It is coming from our State Department, and it's about the Leahy laws. And the Leahy laws are the laws that are referenced when we talk about how the US government needs to uphold its own laws in not sending weaponry to Israel because of the human rights violations that they are committing. And it very specifically, I just want to read this out loud so that everybody is kind of on the same page. There is a DoD Leahy law that since 1999 has said that the DoD appropriated funds may not be used for any training, equipment, or other assistance to a foreign security force. So if the Secretary of Defense has credible information. We have the UN, which is an extremely credible organization, calling this a genocide. And so our laws are very clear, as is our platform, that we do not support the use of lethal weapons against unarmed people. So we really need to stand against this amendment. Thank you.
Because the first speakers in favor of the amendments kept their collective comments under 2 minutes, is there a second speaker for the amendments? Steve, I see your hands up.
Excuse me. Yes, I just wanted to. I didn't catch the name of the previous speaker who against the amendment.
Oh, Steve, sorry, this is Hannah
Oh,
Cameron.
Hannah. Okay.
I just can't speak as me because I'm in the room.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you.
All right, is there a second speaker again or in favor of the amendments?
I would actually like to add the Leahy law as a reference at the bottom.
Okay, I'm not seeing any other hands come up. So
And this is, hey Jordan, this is Chris. Sorry, clarification question. When you say the amendments, that includes the addition of the one talking about defensive weapons as well. Is that correct?
correct.
So would that mean that we are voting on all three of the amendments from what Preston mentioned, what Stephen mentioned, and what Hannah counteracted around the defensive weapons?
So I'm kind of multitasking here. At the same time that we're having this conversation, I'm trying to work out the balloting on the back end so that we can separate out the offensive weapons vote from the other amendments. Yeah, sorry.
Okay, great. As long as this, because if I'm going to vote on this, I do not want to vote for the amendment talking about defensive weapons. That's the point I want to make. So I want to make sure we're not lumping in all of the amendments together. Thank you.
Understood. Thank you.
Would it be helpful if I make a separate? Yeah.
Jordan, is it possible for us to do a voice or hand vote for some of these things? We're getting really complicated. I'm pretty concerned at this point that we've got 8 candidates waiting to be endorsed, and it's getting really late already.
Well, I mean, our meetings are scheduled to go to 9 o'clock, but my concern with doing voice vote and hand raising is we cannot screen for ineligible voters. So if there's a close vote, then I can't account for who is and who is not allowed to vote. So what I think I would like to do is have, understanding that this takes time on the admin side, have a ballot created for Stephen's amendment specifically. And then understanding that the second vote to amend the resolution will be inclusive of the ones that were submitted by Roxanne and Preston collectively. David, I see your hands up.
Yeah, I'm concerned about going ahead with these amendments and frankly with the resolution without knowing what Senator Cantwell's position is. Her office tried to express it and was ruled out of order. I've got in front of me a post that Senator Cantwell put on Facebook 2 hours ago. It's not very long and I'd like to read it. And if I need to characterize this as an argument against the amendments, I could do that. Is that okay? And people would have some information about Senator Cantwell's position on all this.
So the debate on this and the vote is on amending the resolution. Something
Right.
like that sounds like it would be more appropriate for the underlying resolution. So we've already decided as a body to move forward with the resolution process. So doubling back and rehashing the meeting conversation wouldn't be something that we would take up right now.
I'm not trying to rehash the meeting resolution. I just want to share some information about Senator Cantwell's position. I'm not saying even that I agree with her position. I just think it's not to push through these resolutions without even hearing from the senator that we're condemning. We use the word condemn in this resolution. And,
Point of order.
Yeah, this
I
is,
think
Sorry, who was that?
David Horn is out of order.
this is Art.
Will we repeat that, Art, please?
Yeah, I called for point of order. David Horn is out of order, and I think we should just continue on the path that you've chosen for voting.
Thank you. Julie, I see your hands up.
Yes, I had a question. Are we adding the 3 amendments to this resolution?
That's what, so we're trying to square away the voting process.
What? I'm
for
sorry.
that. We're trying to square away the voting process for that because we can't add them until the body approves them. So.
Okay, but are we going to
I'm not
vote
sure.
on that as to adding them?
Yes.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Okay. With those questions answered, Carla, I know this is kind of a last minute wrench, but
No, I'm working
are
on
we
it.
prepared to? Okay.
Yeah. Do you want to do Stevens first or the 3?
Yes. Yes. Let's do Stevens
All right.
first.
Okay. Mute, please. Okay, and I'm just, again, because I don't want to write like a 4-paragraph question. I'm essentially saying that the vote is on Stephen's amendment. So just
Yes,
calling it
and-
Stephen's amendment. Are you good with that?
We can say to amendment to specify quote unquote offensive weapons. That's, I think, the essence of his amendment.
Yeah.
This is just not.
To include defensive weapons?
To specify offensive weapons.
Yes, but against.
Okay, I think I've got it.
Okay.
Might be not, but I think everybody will get it. Might not be perfect. You want me to launch it?
Yes, please. So just a reminder, this is a vote to specify throughout the resolution that when we talk about weapons, we are talking about offensive weapons. So if you have access to the Zoom poll, please vote there. If not, up on the screen again is the text to vote. Phone number is 253-561-1149.
David Horn, were you planning to post this post from Senator Cantwell? I don't see it here.
I'm in the process of typing it in since I wasn't permitted to read it. So in a few more minutes, I'll have it all typed in. I was muted, by the way. Thank you for unmuting me, whoever did that.
No worries.
I'm also going to take this moment of silence to clarify with Leslie and Janice that Leslie does not need to be logged in as her. She can text her vote in directly and avoid the problem. That is the whole purpose of having an alternate way of voting.
Dave, just to save you some time, I did paste what I think is the text in your thread.
Jordan? I'm gonna ask this again. Is there any way that we can move forward with the next set of amendments and go through that debate while we're counting votes for the last one?
Literally, as you were saying that, the results came in. So on this amendment to specify offensive weapons, we are at 30 votes opposed and 17 support. So the amendment to specify offensive weapons fails. And we will move into debate on the other amendments. So these would be the ones, and I'll pull them back up on the screen,
We already,
this was just Stevens.
I know, the vote, but we had already did.
Okay, correct. You're right. Got it.
I
Okay.
just want to
So, yeah, so
move it along.
that's why you surround yourself with people smarter than you. So, we will be next voting on the other amendments. So these are the ones that were pre-submitted by the supporters of the resolution, considering them friendly, which we have reviewed, I think, twice now. So Carla, if you would please go ahead and launch the poll for that.
Oh,
It should just be the
shoot,
original.
sorry, I'm
amendment.
not ready yet.
Okay.
Give me 2 seconds. So this is the original amendment that it was already built, pre-built, correct?
That's correct. And there's more than one. It's the friendly amendments in green.
Yeah, I need Jordan to answer that. The original amend Cantwell is
Yes,
good
so-
as is that correct?
Yes. Just for, again, transparency's sake, the folks who are hearing this conversation, so the Zoom polls, we can create before the meeting. So expecting that we were getting friendly amendments to the resolution, we created a poll for those. We had to then create a second poll to do the specification of offensive weapons. So this next poll that pops up is the original poll we created for the amendments we were expecting, which are these ones that were submitted by the supporters of the resolution.
And here we go.
And then again, for the text votes, it is on the screen. Phone numbers 253-561-1149.
Poll is closed.
All right, and while we wait on results for that, reminder, this is, again, this is just to amend the resolution. So after this, the next vote will be to adopt the underlying resolution as amended. But after that, we will have what I'm putting in the chat now, which is just like the Gaza resolution. The state party will only consider any resolutions we pass and ask to be considered urgently if we include a letter justifying its urgency. So this one, which I am putting up on the screen now, justifies that urgency with how close the vote was taken to our August meeting. And our August meeting would have been our first opportunity to consider this resolution, and our only opportunity to consider the resolution before the state party's deadline. So this is really our first chance as a body to review this resolution, potentially approve it if you as the body support it, and send it to the state party for consideration. But to do that, we have to include a letter justifying its urgency. So that's what this letter does. I'm seeing some results for our amendments. We have 41 votes cast in favor, 3 opposed, which means that the set of amendments pass with 93%. So the next step then is to debate the underlying resolution as amended. Going back to our original motion and second, that was Preston and Steve. So Preston, the floor is yours if you'd like to speak to the resolution as amended.
I concede my time to somebody who may want to speak in support of this resolution. Anybody? Otherwise, I think we've already covered a lot. We've seen a lot in the chat, and a lot of people are in support of the resolution and the voice that we're kind of collectively bringing to Senator Cantwell's office and also the Washington State Democratic Party. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Preston. Is there anyone who'd like to speak against the resolution as amended? Anyone who'd like to speak against the resolution as amended? Okay, seeing none, we'll close debate on the underlying resolution as amended. I will make an attempt at this, expecting a certain outcome. Is there anyone, or is there any objection to adopting the resolution as amended?
Objection. Elizabeth.
Thank you, Elizabeth. So we will move forward with our Zoom poll. This will be to whether or not to adopt the resolution as amended. And then pulling back up our text to vote. Again, the numbers on the screen for those who cannot see it. It's 253-561-1149.
That's supposed to be adopt, not act.
Once we close this poll, we will move into any debate on the letter. And if there is no debate on the letter, or sorry, I'll hear any motions to amend the letter. If there are no amendments to the letter, then we'll move into debating the letter. And if there is no debate on the letter, then we will move forward with a vote on that. And its approval will be only if it will be conditional on whether or not this resolution passes. So we'll get through the rest of this poll, which there's still about 40 seconds left to vote. So if you have not cast your vote, please do so. You can do that on the poll. You can also do it with our text to vote.
When you're counting the texted in votes, it would be nice if there was a quick thanks as was done with the earlier ones, just so we know we were counted. Thank you.
All right, so that poll is closed. I will reopen the letter. Pending the results of that vote, this is the letter that we will be considering in support of urgent consideration of the resolution by the state party. This was sent in my Monday email. Also put the link in the chat, and it's also up here on the screen. Is there anyone who would like to make a motion to amend the letter? Any motions to amend the letter?
Parliamentary inquiry.
Who's this?
It's Peter Newbold.
Okay, go ahead, Peter.
Why isn't the text of the letter in the discretion of the chairman of the committee of the 34th District Committee? It seems to me that it follows thematically with what we've been doing. Does every letter require a vote?
So the state party is requiring that the letter be adopted by the membership as a separate step. So I don't believe so, but I also don't believe that the letters are typically required. These seem to be unique to this resolution and the Gaza resolution.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, seeing no hands coming up to amend the letter, I will hold off for a second. I see results are coming in for the resolution. And so once I see some final results for that, we will potentially consider this letter. All right, final results are in. So we have 43 votes cast in support of the resolution as amended and 7 opposed, which means the resolution is adopted as amended with 86% of the vote. Is there a motion to adopt the letter as drafted?
This is Mary Fleck. I move to adopt the letter.
This is Chris Fleckins. I second the adoption of the letter.
Thank you, Mary, and thank you, Chris. Is there any objection to adopting the letter as drafted? Is there any objection to adopting the letter as drafted? Okay, seeing none, we will consider the letter adopted without objection, which finally brings us into the main purpose of our meeting. Carla, sorry, I see your hands up.
Yeah, I'm just gonna ask this again. Could we modify the agenda to move the candidates next in line? I know we have to do block vote first, but move them ahead of all the propositions and other initiatives so that they can move along to their other duties tonight.
Well, I think the bulk of, sorry, just looking at what we have scripted left in the meeting. So what we have left right now, so we're through resolutions. I have a brief review of our endorsements process, which is outside of the block vote, the only thing that stands between us and voting on candidates. And I would have to review that anyway, before we got into voting on candidates.
We have the 8201, we have Prop 1, we have school levy.
Yes, those are all in the block vote.
Yeah, that's what she's saying, move it to the back.
So you just want to move it, right? But I'm saying that is all, the bulk of the time between us and the candidates is made up by me reviewing our endorsements process, unless we separate out our block endorsement. So I'm not sure how much time that saves.
Oh, okay, I see. So you did not need to have separate ballots for each of those, or they were just in case?
They were just in case anyone removed them out of the block.
Got it. Okay,
So
thank you.
Yeah.
Yep.
So so for the folks who don't know what's happening, here's our endorsement process review. I will get back to our slide deck. And okay, so process review. We'll go over meeting management, eligible candidates, eligible voting members, our board block, which you just heard Carla and I discussing, and then our process for making, debating, and voting on motions. So first, to make sure the rest of tonight's meeting is well run, I will be handling general meeting management. Carla, our communications and technology chair, will be our tech wizard handling all of the Zoom operations. We also have Ann Martin, our endorsements and resolutions chair, managing our timer, and some folks keeping an eye on the chat. Working also in the background here, in case you haven't noticed already, we have our tally committee, which is Hannah Cameron, Harrison Martin, and Seeley. We're going to go over some procedural details before we get started. So if any questions pop into your head as I'm talking, feel free to raise your virtual hand. And once I get through the review of our endorsements process, I'll swing back and answer whatever questions there might be.
Carla has her hand up. I don't know if that's.
Carla, is that for a question? No. Carla, I see your hands up.
Just take it down.
So for those who are not familiar with our bylaws, I want to make sure everyone understands what and who is eligible for endorsement tonight. So for campaigns related to ballot measures, the only requirement is that they impact some part of the 34th legislative district. For candidates, they must have filed to run for an office which has a jurisdiction overlapping with the 34th. They must also have completed the questionnaire created by the King County Democrats for candidates competing in their race, and within that questionnaire, self-identified as a Democrat. Yes, Ann?
I would clarify that the jurisdiction is if we vote on that particular office,
Residents of our district.
not the school board. They're not necessarily.
Well, they run citywide.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. And then eligible voting members, when it comes to participating in endorsements from a member's perspective, you must either be an elected or appointed precinct committee officer, be a 2024 member who renewed their membership by 8 p.m. last night, or any other member who joined by July 12th of this year. Our tally committee, as we did with the resolutions process, has a way of screening for and excluding any votes that are cast by people ineligible to vote in endorsements. Still, as with our resolutions process, it makes things much more efficient if we don't have to go through the process of excluding those votes. So if you are not an eligible voting member, please just X out of the poll. When it comes to board blocks, our first vote tonight will be for the block of ballot measures recommended for endorsement by the executive board at our July meeting. Our July board meeting, that is. Block eligibility was limited to situations where we had only one eligible candidate competing for an office, which it does not apply in this case, or for ballot measures where the board felt the campaign's position clearly aligned with the organization's values. Since all of the school board endorsements tonight include 2 eligible candidates, none of them are included on the block. So any eligible voting member may remove a campaign from the block, and that goes without motion or debate. Once we get to a point where no further removals are happening, those items that remain on the block can be endorsed with the support of a simple majority of eligible voting members present and voting. Those campaigns removed from the block are still eligible for endorsement, but they require a separate process to be considered. Which brings me to making motions. So for anyone removed from the block or any of our other scheduled endorsements, meaning our school board candidates this evening, motions can only be made and seconded for eligible candidates by eligible voting members. Motions are heard in the order that races are listed on the agenda. So for tonight, that would be the school board races in sequential order, so 2, 4, 5, 7. And I'll make sure to provide ample time for motions to endorse. Once motions are closed, we'll move into debate. Debate is heard in the order that motions are received, and only eligible voting members may participate. We limit debate to a maximum of 2 speakers for and 2 speakers against each candidate, as with resolutions, alternating affirmative and negative, and providing up to 2 minutes per speaker. So if there is no speaker for, we will not do any debate. If there is a speaker for, then we have an opportunity for a speaker against a motion. If there is a speaker against, there may be a second speaker for. And if there's a second speaker for, we have an opportunity for a second and final speaker against. Please remember that speaking against a candidate you oppose is not the same as speaking for a candidate you support. So if you try to use time dedicated to an affirmative case for the candidate you like to make a negative case against a candidate you don't, I will be muting you and giving you a warning. If you continue, you will be muted again, and we'll move forward with the next step in the process. Once we get through debate, I'll call the question and we'll move into voting. As a reminder, our primary and preferred method is that Zoom poll. So if you've just joined our meeting on a Zoom call, whether you're on the browser or the Zoom app, a poll will pop up on your screen, and when we release the ballot, ballots will remain open for 2 minutes, during which you simply select and submit your preference. If you've dialed in, or if you're otherwise unable to access or use the Zoom poll, you can use our secondary method of texting in your vote. Text must be sent to the phone number shown on slide with your first and last name so that we can verify your membership. Again, the phone number is 253-561-1149. You should text that vote in within the 2 minutes that the ballot is open. Text votes that are received after the ballot is closed will not be counted in the total. To vote on tonight's endorsement, you must be present in the meeting. We don't allow for proxy votes or absentee voting. If there is only one candidate on a first ballot, they will be accompanied by the option for no endorsement. And if they fail to reach the threshold of support, which is 60%, they will not be endorsed and will move on to the next race. If there are multiple candidates on the first ballot, they'll be accompanied by the option for no endorsement as well. But if all choices fail to reach the threshold of support, we automatically move on to a second ballot, which includes the top 2 candidates and not the option for no endorsement. If no candidate reaches the threshold for support after the second ballot, then we have made no endorsement in the race, but we can consider a motion for dual endorsement. If no motion and second are received for dual endorsement, then we've made no endorsement. If we do receive a motion and a second, then we will debate whether or not to dual endorse, and following debate, vote on that question. If the motion fails to reach the threshold of support, which is still 60%, then we make no endorsement. However, if it does, then we will endorse both of the second ballot candidates. So for tonight's endorsements, we are considering 4 policy measures, which are all within the board block currently, which is Approve 8201, Seattle Proposition 1, Seattle Proposition 2, and the renewal of Highline School District's Educational Programs and Operations Levy. Approve 8201 would require that the dollars within Washington's Long-Term Care Trust Fund be spent exclusively on long-term care services for vulnerable seniors and people with disabilities. Seattle Proposition 1 is the renewal and expansion of the city's Families, Education, and Preschool Promise Levy to fund support for early learning, K-12 health and safety, and post-secondary education and career support. Seattle Proposition 2 is a proposal to raise the city's business and occupation tax, or B&O tax, exemption threshold from $100,000 to $2 million, and raise the tax rate for revenues above that new threshold. The Highline Education Levy would renew local funding for education programs in the Highline School District, as well as services and staff to supplement funding from the state. The dollars support student supports, staffing, and operation and technology costs. We are also considering endorsement in the 4 Seattle School Board races for Director Districts 2, 4, 5, and 7. As I mentioned, each of these have 2 eligible candidates. as promised, before we move on, are there any questions about process? Are there any questions about process before we move on? Okay, we're all endorsement experts. Let's make it happen. So, here is the block recommended by the board at our July executive board meeting. Because there are multiple eligible candidates in the school board races, the ballot measures are all that have been included. The first thing we need to do is secure a motion to endorse the block as it's been proposed. So is there a motion to endorse the ballot measures within the block as they've been recommended by the board?
I will so move.
Oh, go ahead, Bunny.
I'll move. I will so move.
And I'll second. This is Carla.
Thank you, Bunny, and thank you, Carla. Bunny, would you like to speak to adopting the block?
You want to ask if anybody else?
I guess, yes. Thank you.
I gotta get
Again,
myself
surround yourself with people smarter than
unmuted
you.
here.
Hold on, Bunny. Would anyone like to remove any of these items from the block? Would anyone like to amend the block? Okay, seeing no hands come up. Bunny, you made the motion, so would you like to speak in favor of the block?
Yes, all of these, first of all, I sit on the endorsement committee for the King County Democratic Central Committee. I'm your rep to that, and I sit on their endorsement committee. And we have heard quite a bit from supporters of these particular levies or other things on the block, and have supported all of them. Each of them is worthy. Certainly, we want to make sure that the care initiative that for ongoing care is well supported and continues to be well funded. And the school levies, I mean, the schools already have insufficient funding. The state has never followed through with its mandate it's paramount duty to fund education fully, and we rely on all of these levies. So I really encourage everybody here to support this block to make sure that our schools continue to at least be able to offer the bare minimum to our students, and that the hard-fought fund for care has sufficient funding to continue. Thanks.
Thank you, Bunny. Would anyone like to speak against the block? Would anyone like to speak against the block? All right, seeing none, we will try this the easy way. Is there anyone opposed to the endorsement of the items included on the block? Anyone opposed to the endorsement of the items included on the block? All right, seeing none, we will consider these ballot measures endorsed without objection. Moving on to our candidates this evening. Thank you all for sticking this out. We will, as mentioned, go in numerical order. So we will begin with Director District 2. For transparency's sake, again, some of the candidates have requested in advance that they have specific speakers speak for their candidacy. So once we get through, or once people start raising hands, I will be calling on specific people because they were recommended or requested by the candidates. Gina, I see your hand is up.
Thank you, Chair Crawley. I move that the 34th endorse Sarah Clark for Seattle School Board Director, District 2.
A second.
Thank you, Gina.
Rachel.
Thank you, Rachel, for your second. Are there any other motions to endorse for Seattle School Board Director, District 2? Any other motions to endorse for Seattle School Board Director, District 2? one last time, are there any motions to endorse for Seattle School Board Director District 2?
Chair Crowley,
Yes.
this is Leslie Harris, and unfortunately, I'm signed in as the second Janice White because I missed my email. Can we please go for unanimity on this since there are no opposing folks for this? And to let you know that I can't raise the chat because I'm in as Janice White, not as Leslie Harris. And I'm sorry to be a pain in your backside, but come for your last two endorsements. I'd appreciate being recognized under my new
Leslie.
pseudonym.
Our process for the first ballot is to automatically include an option for no endorsement. So we cannot go through a process of unanimously endorsing a candidate without also giving the option for no endorsement. We can, however, amend our ballot to only include the one candidate who received a motion. So the options on the ballot will only be Sarah Clark or no endorsement. So
outstanding. Thought I'd give it a try. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Leslie. So for anyone, once the ballot comes up, if Sarah Clark hits the 60% threshold or exceeds it, she will be endorsed. If she fails to meet that 60% threshold, we will make no endorsement in the race. So we can move forward with our first ballot for Seattle School Board endorsements.
Don't you want to have speak to? Let
You're
Gina
right.
speak to it.
Sorry. Are we able to close this and relaunch it, Carla? Or are we too late?
I could speak to my motion while folks are voting, maybe?
As parliamentarian.
Carla's on mute.
Sorry.
So sorry. I cannot end it without having to duplicate it. Please don't make me do that. Let's just go ahead and take the speeches and then we'll look at the timer and give it
Then
2
we'll do
minutes.
the timing after the speech.
Okay, Gina, you're welcome to go ahead.
Amazing. So good evening, everyone. Gina Top. I currently serve as the school board director for this district. I've been on the board for about 1.5 years. I'm also a PCO, former chair here, and treasurer of the 34th District Dems. Tonight, I'm asking that you endorse Sarah Clark for school board. Sarah grew up here in Seattle. She is a proud graduate of Seattle Public Schools, kindergarten through 12th. She was in our highly capable program. She played sports. She was in the arts. She sang in our music programs. Sarah knows the strengths of our schools, and she knows the places where we need to do better. Sarah also brings some deep experience to this role. She has a master's degree in education policy from the University of Washington, go Huskies, and she led the Early Learning Action Alliance. She helped pass legislation in Olympia to help create a new pathway for childcare providers. And anyone who has struggled to find affordable, quality childcare, like I know so well, knows how much that matters. It shows Sarah can take good ideas and actually turn them into change. Lots of people have ideas. What we need are the leaders who can deliver on results. Sarah also understands our budget challenges and how the pieces all fit together. She knows we're not going to just solve this with quick fixes or by asking district staff to close the $80 million budget deficit. It's going to take hard work with our community, our city, our students, families, and parents to build real solutions to make this a sustainable district. That's why she is chairing the new ad hoc budget committee. She's leading the work of setting the budget development timeline, building trust in the process, and shaping the scope of a deeper look at the district's finances. That's tough work, and Sarah's exactly the person to take it on. And that's why I'm asking you to join me in endorsing Sarah Clark tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Gina. Is there anyone who'd like to speak against the motion to endorse Sarah Clark for School Board Director District 2? Anyone who'd like to speak against the motion to endorse Sarah Clark for Chris Porter, I see your hand up. Oh.
No,
Anyone
you
like-
didn't. No.
Nobody saw that.
It was a ghost.
Okay, one last time, anyone who would like to speak against the motion to endorse Sarah Clark for School Board Director, District 2? Okay, we will end debate and we will continue to leave the poll open for an additional 2 minutes for anyone who did not already submit their vote. The text to vote number, just to switch things up on everybody, is now in the top right corner of your screen, not in the bottom center. But if you cannot see it, the phone number is 253-561-1149.
And I will close the poll when it reads 5 minutes.
If you have your name.
Where will we find the poll?
The poll is presented as, are people not seeing it? I've got 40 votes.
I don't
And
see
I'll-
it.
Okay, and if you can't see the poll, you can also still text in your vote. If you can't see the number on the screen, I can read it off again.
This is for Sarah Clark, right?
Correct, Director District 2.
Okay. I am going to shut the poll down.
There's still about 20 seconds.
Okay. Just trying to rush things along.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Once this poll does close, we will move on to the next position.
Okay, close.
All right, with the closure of that poll, we're moving on to motions for endorsement for School Board Director District 4. Hannah,
This is Hannah Cameron, and I motion that we endorse Joe Mizrahi for Seattle Public School Director, District 4.
thank you. Hannah, is there a second? Gina, I see your hands up.
Second.
Thank you, Gina. Are there any other motions to endorse for School Board Director District 4?
Motion to endorse Laura Marie Rivera.
And
Okay,
I
thank you,
second
Rachel.
that. This is Preston Anderson.
Thank you, Rachel, and thank you, Preston. Those being all of our eligible candidates, we will move forward with debate. So Hannah, since you made the first motion for Joe Mizrahi, the floor is yours.
Thanks so much. I would love to cede my time to Joe, but before I do that, I just quickly want to say that school board director is such an important position, and it affects families of kids of all ages. So even though I only have a 2-year-old, my 2-year-old is currently receiving services through the school district. And Joe's work on our school board already as someone who was appointed, he's already doing the good work, and I'd love to see that work continued. So I cede my time to Joe.
Thank you so much, Hannah. My name is Joe Mizrahi. It's great to be with you all tonight. I was appointed to the board about 1.5 years ago. In my day job, I work for UFCW 3000, representing 55,000 frontline workers. Worked a lot in the 34th legislative district, passing the highest minimum wage in Burien, working on paid sick leave in Seattle, hazard pay in both Seattle and Burien, and really glad to see so many friends on the Zoom here tonight. I've been on the board for about a year, and I came there with 3 kids in the school, but also representing low-wage workers to try and bring those values to the school district. In my first year, I helped block when the WIAA, the sports governing body, tried to pass very harmful resolutions that would have harmed our trans students. And we were able to beat that by 1 vote of all the school districts. And I was really proud to lead that effort for Seattle. When it was clear that the school closure plan would have really impacted low-wage communities, I fought against that. And I've also fought down Olympia to bring more progressive revenue to our school district. I'm endorsed by SEA, MLK Labor, the 36th, 43rd, 46th, and 32nd LDs. Sole endorsement of the Alliance for Gun Responsibility, Planned Parenthood, The Stranger, and the Seattle Times, which is not a common combination. And then here in the 34th, Senator Alvarado, Teresa Mosqueda, Congresswoman Jayapal, Board President Top, and Leslie Harris, aka Janice White, number 2. And I appreciate all the support I've gotten from the 34th, including there are 2 precincts in the 34th that are actually in my district that voted on the primary, which I also won. So you all could have voted for this race in the primary. There's 2 tiny little precincts at the south end of the 4th school board district. So thank you so much and would appreciate all your support.
Thank you, Joe. We will move into speaker against the endorsement of Joe Mizrahi for school board. Is there any speaker against the endorsement of Joe Mizrahi for school board director District 4? Any speaker against the endorsement of Joe Mizrahi for school board director District 4? Seeing no hands, we will close debate on the endorsement of Joe and move on to debate on the endorsement of Laura Marie Rivera. Rachel, since you made the motion, the floor is yours for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Jordan. And I, at this moment in time, would like to cede my time to the candidate.
Thank you. I'm Dr. Laura Marie Rivera, and it's difficult to be compelling and informative in 2 minutes, but I will give it a try. Starting with acknowledging the awful events of earlier today. Not only do we have a political murder, but we have additional gun violence at a school again. The discourse and rhetoric in our country is wildly out of control, and it's our children that are bearing the brunt of these escalations across the country and here in Seattle. If I had a magic wand, I would wave it and keep our children safe every day, but these are not problems that have developed overnight, and there are no solutions to be enacted overnight. And the exact same could be said for the problems that our education system is facing. There are no immediate fixes, but we start student by student, ensuring that they have what they need to succeed in school and in their life after graduation. As the only educator on the ballot and having over 2 decades of experience, I know the difference between the policy that sounds good and the policy that works. We all know how troubling it was when Donald Trump convened a meeting on women's health without a single woman in the room, and the same principle applies here. It is simply unacceptable to shape the future of our schools without an educator at the table. Our school boards are making critical decisions that affect everything from funding and curriculum to teacher support and student well-being. My experience ensures our policies are practical, equitable, and rooted in what actually works for kids. We literally have the future of our society sitting in our classrooms today. And we have a vote for me is a vote for the students, proudly endorsed by SEA and individual educators, LD 36, 32, 11, hopefully 34. King County Dems, King County Young Dems, Diversity, Dems for Diversity and Inclusion, NWPC, Vote Mama, and more. They know I bring an experienced and culturally inclusive approach and a record of really showing up for our kids. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Is there a speaker against the endorsement of Laura Marie Rivera for Seattle School Board Director District 4? Any speaker against the endorsement of Laura Marie Rivera for School Board Director District 4? Okay, seeing none, we will conclude debate on the candidates who received motions for endorsement. As a reminder, the first ballot will include both of the duly motioned candidates, as well as the option for no endorsement. If any one candidate hits or exceeds the 60% threshold of support, they will be endorsed. If neither does, then we will move forward automatically with the second ballot, including only Joe and Laura. So with that, let's go ahead and launch that poll. Carla, are we good to launch that poll? Thank you. And again, for the folks who do not have access to the poll, you can text in your vote. The phone number is 253-561-1149. That is in the top right corner of the screen for anyone who can see my shared screen. We also have results for the Director District 2 endorsement. There were 44 votes in favor of endorsing Sarah Clark and 1 in favor of no endorsement, which means that Sarah Clark has earned our endorsement with just under 98% of the vote. So congratulations, Sarah. And while we are taking in votes for the first ballot of the Director District 4 candidates, we will move on to motions to endorse for School Board Director District 5. Gina, I see your hand is up and went back down. Did you have a motion?
I did. Sorry about that. Yeah, this is Gina Top. I move that the 34th endorse Vivian Song for Seattle School Board Director District 5.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Seconded, Rebecca.
Thank you, Rebecca. Are there any other motions to endorse for School Board Director District 5?
Chair Crowley, Leslie Harris here.
Yes, Leslie, go ahead.
Respectfully put in nomination Janice White's name.
Thank you. Is there a second to endorse Janice White for School Board Director District 5?
Second, Lisa Dawson.
Thank you, Lisa. Okay, we will, as usual, go debate the motions in the order they were received. So, Gina, since you made the motion for Vivian Song, the floor is yours for 2 minutes.
Yeah, so I'm asking this evening at the 34th endorse Vivian Song for Seattle School Board Director District 5. In this race, we are fortunate to have 2 very strong candidates in Vivian Song and Janice White. Both know Seattle Public Schools inside and out, and I endorse them both. Here's the thing though, Vivian came out of the primary with 74% of the vote in her district. That's her community speaking loudly and clearly that the people who know her best, and I think we in the 34th should listen. School board races, the primary is only within the director's district and the general is citywide. So that 74 tells us what her local community wants in their leader. Vivian also brings real financial expertise. And right now that could not be more important. We're facing roughly an $80 million structural budget deficit. And that kind of challenge requires someone with expertise in that area. And finally, I just want to share this. When I first joined the board, the school board, Vivian was the only director who reached out to me before my very first meeting, just to check in and offer support. And that meant a lot. It shows the kind of leader that she is. She includes people, she listens, and she makes sure others feel seen. That's the kind of leader we want on the school board. And so tonight I ask you to endorse Vivian Song.
Thank you, Gina. Is there any speaker against the endorsement of Vivian Song for School Board Director District 5? Any speaker against the endorsement of Vivian Song for School Board Director District 5? Okay, seeing none, we will move forward with debate on the endorsement of Janice White for the same position. Leslie, since you made the motion, the floor is yours.
You're on mute, Leslie.
Thank you so much. If Joe is still on, I got you beat by a full term, being endorsed by both the Stranger and the Seattle Times. And Vivian Song is like a sister from a different mother for me, and I served with her with great respect. I, however, am firmly endorsing Janice White for several reasons. One, she's a trial lawyer. She knows how to ask the difficult questions and how to suss out when she's not being told the whole truth. 40 years as a trial lawyer. Second, she's had over 25 years of leadership in the special education community. And we have not had someone carrying the baton for the special education community. And after serving 8 very long and very painful years on the school board, I am here to tell you that that is critical need. Awkward, beyond awkward. And with respect to comments from School Board President Gina Top, who I love like a sister from a different mother, take a look at the money on this, take a look at the PAC, and with all due respect, and I may be well ruled out of line here, it's my hope we come out of this conversation with a dual endorsement. And I cede the rest of my time to Janice White. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Leslie. I'm Janice White, and I just want to say that I hope to bring my commitment to public education, my long 20 years of experience in our school district, and my community roots to the work of making sure that every student receives the best education to meet their full potential. And I would be very honored to receive your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie, and thank you, Janice. Is there any speaker against the endorsement of Janice White for School Board Director District 5? Any speaker against the endorsement of Janice White for School Board Director District 5? Okay, seeing none, we will move forward with a vote. The first ballot of District 5. So you should see the poll up on your screen. If you do not see the poll, you can still text your vote. Again, phone number is 253-561-1149. And we have results from our first ballot for School Board Director District 4. With 29 votes cast in their favor, we have Joe Mizrahi, 13 in support of Laura Marie Rivera, and 2 for no endorsement, which means that Joe Mizrahi has earned our endorsement with 65.9% of the vote. Congratulations, Joe. And I will wait until this ballot closes in another 45 seconds to open up motions for our final endorsement consideration this evening, which will be for School Board Director District 7. So again, polls open for another 32 seconds, and then things will close, and we'll move on to motions and debate for our final endorsement consideration this evening.
Polls
Okay,
closed.
and with that poll closing, we'll move on to School Board Director District 7. Are there any motions for endorsement for School Board Director District 7?
Leslie's raising her hand.
Go ahead, Leslie.
I'm unmuting. Thank you. I put into nomination the name of Carol Rava. Thank you.
And this is
Thank you,
Preston Anderson. I second that motion for Carol Rava.
Thank you, Preston. Are there any other motions to endorse for School Board Director District 7?
Jordan, I motion to endorse Jen LaValle for Seattle School Board D7.
Thank you, Carla. Is there a second to endorse Jen LaValle for Seattle School Board Director District 7?
Second.
Thank you, Brianna Thomas. With that, we'll move on to debate in the order that motions were made. So Leslie, since you made the motion to endorse Carol, the floor is yours.
Again, having served 8 painful years on the school board, including 2 as president, Carol Rava is uniquely qualified to be an extraordinary school board member. Carol has spent the last 25 plus years working in education, works presently for a national organization with respect to higher education. She did work in Seattle Public Schools in the past, distant past. She did work in the distant past for the Gates Foundation, which is apparently a slam to some people. But I gotta say, if there's a bigger pocket to pick in the city of Seattle, I want to know what it is. Those connections and that career are extraordinarily helpful to the challenges that Seattle Public District has presently. Do I think Jen Lavalley is wonderful? I absolutely do. Do I think she's ready? I absolutely do not. I beg of you for your vote for Carol Rava, and I cede the rest of my time to the candidate. Thank you.
Great. Do I get to just jump in? I think so. Okay.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Carol Rava, thank you very much, Leslie. As Leslie said, I have a lifelong personal and professional commitment to education. I have worked for education nonprofits in K-12 and higher education for the last 25 plus years. As part of that, I did work for the Gates Foundation, and I'm proud of the work I did there. I am not in support of charter schools. I just want to put that out there because some have been saying otherwise, as Leslie said. But I stand on my record of working on issues of educational equity, justice, and access in a variety of settings. Currently, I do work in higher education in that space. And I also want to just say I bring financial expertise as well. Currently, I manage a $150 million budget. I worked at the school district. I was directly involved in the budget there, and I'm in the process of completing a certificate in K-12 finance. I think it said my time was up.
Yes.
Okay.
Is there a speaker against the endorsement of Carol Rava for School Board Director District 7? Any speaker against Carol Rava for the endorsement for Seattle School Board Director District 7? Okay, seeing none, we will move into debate on the endorsement of Jen Lavalley for Seattle School Board Director District 7. Carla, since you made the motion, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Jordan. I met Jen when I interviewed her for endorsement by the Northwest Progressive Women's Caucus, who endorsed her unanimously. I'm proud to support Jen and will cede the rest of my time to the candidate.
Hi, my name is Jen Lavalley. I got involved a few years ago when my kid's school was hugely affected by what's called the October Shuffle, where we lost 1/6 of the teachers 6 weeks into the school year. I worked hard as a parent to try to get answers from the district and got nothing. So I rolled up my sleeves and dug into the data to try to figure out what was going on. I connected with parents from across the city and coordinated with them. As the district started to announce mass closures, we stayed organized, protected the schools, and kept our schools open. I then transitioned into state level advocacy and brought hundreds of students down to Olympia to try to get more funding for our schools, both within Seattle and across Washington state. Ongoing, I've continued to track the data, finding out that our enrollment and staffing decisions are hurting Title I schools at a much greater cost than other schools. I've been fighting for equitable access to dual language and newcomer and HCC programs. West Seattle is especially affected by those, and South Seattle as well, as the closest program ends up being Thurgood Marshall, which is over a 30-minute drive for many families and a much longer bus ride. I built community through running bike buses for kids to school, craft nights, clothing swaps for kids, fundraisers for the food bank, and more. Showing up for others is what I do and what I will bring to the school board. Seattle schools deserve schools that work, safe schools, and leadership that listens and acts. Schools that families trust, that's where students can succeed and families can thrive. I'm endorsed by SCA, King County Democrats, 37th, 43rd, 32nd, National Women's Political Caucus, and the Alliance for Gun Responsibility. And I hope that you'll consider my endorsement here too. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. Is there any speakers against the endorsement of Jen LaValle for Seattle School Board Director District 7? Any speakers against the endorsement of Jen LaValle for School Board Director District 7? All right, seeing none, we will go ahead and launch that poll. The first for this endorsement. Again, preferred method is the Zoom poll. If you cannot see the Zoom poll, please text in your vote to 253-561-1149. And we do have a result for the School Board Director District 5 ballot. There were 11 votes cast in favor of Janice White, 30 in favor of Vivian Song, and 2 for no endorsement, meaning that Vivian has earned our endorsement with 69.8% of the vote. So congratulations, Vivian. Because this is our final endorsement consideration, and we're hitting 9 o'clock as I'm speaking, we'll start doing some good of the order stuff as we're planning to close things out. But to start off, one thing that was brought to my attention as I entered the role of chair was that some of our members often feel like their voice is not invited or welcome or included as our officers and committee chairs plan and prepare for the future. I hope that over the course of the last 8 months, we've started to shift that paradigm a bit, but I want to try to take another step forward by directly asking all of our members for their input. I've created a Google form, which has gone out in our emails, but I will also include in the chat. One moment. So while my emails and phone are open to each of you, and you are of course always welcome to talk about things with me when we see each other in person, not very many have reached out. So while I can take this to mean that everything is great, I would hate to make that assumption and miss out on opportunities to improve. So to account for the fact that anonymity can occasionally encourage honesty, the Google form does not require or otherwise collect any personally identifiable information unless you personally select the option to receive follow-up directly from me. I hope that each of you will share your thoughts so that we can use this information to make our organization a better place for everyone. We will also be highlighting this form at our membership meetings moving forward through the rest of this year, as well as in our weekly emails as we continue into 2026. Last I've checked, we've seen some submissions coming in already, but I'd like to see more. So please click the link, take the survey, and help us get better heading into the midterms. If anyone else has anything for good of the order while we're waiting for some results, feel free to go ahead. Anne?
I'm no longer on Zoom, but I assume I can still be heard.
Yes.
There is a Sunday, September 21st from 8:30 to 11:30 on Harbor Avenue. There is a Peace for All rally. That's International Peace Day. It says 2130 Harbor Avenue Southwest. Please come and stand in community with friends and neighbors to form a human banner honoring International Day of Peace, ages 14 and up, and it is sponsored by West Seattle Indivisible. They came and talked to us, and I think they're doing great work getting out people, and I hope you will join this. That's a message for you, Richard.
Preston, I see your hands up.
Yes, I just wanted to.
I heard that message.
I'm sorry, say again?
I heard that message.
Okay, thanks, Richard.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I just wanted to recognize Jordan for his exceptional leadership in shepherding the resolution related to Gaza forward. It's a challenging, politically loaded issue. It shouldn't have come to this. I raised concerns way back in 2023 when I said war crimes were being committed. We could have addressed it back then, but it has finally kind of manifested in what we see today. So thank you, Jordan, and also thank you to the membership of the 34th for stepping forward and letting our voice be heard for our congressional delegation. And one last thing, might be premature, I could probably address it in subsequent meetings, but January 23rd, maybe just put that on your calendar, Fair Vote Washington, in collaboration with the Democratic Coalition or Democracy Coalition. Several of the groups are going to have a lobby day, January 23rd. I could post more for subsequent meetings, but would love to see my fellow 34th members supporting ranked choice voting and other democracy related issues. Thanks.
Thank you, Preston. Before we continue with go to the order, we've got some first ballot results for the Director District 7. So there were 20 votes cast in favor for Carol Rava, 18 for Jen LaValle, and 3 for no endorsement, which means that neither candidate earned endorsement on this first ballot. Carol earning just shy of 49%, and Jen earning just shy of 44%. So we will move forward with a second ballot. The second ballot will only include Carol and Jen. If neither candidate reaches 60% on this ballot, we've made no endorsement. However, we can consider dual endorsement. Again, if you need to text in your vote, phone number is 253-561-1149. If you need it, it's also on the top right corner of your screen. Ted, I see your hands up.
Hey, yeah, for good of the order, I want to remind everyone in just over 2 weeks is the West Seattle Food Bank's annual Taste of West Seattle event at the Hall at Fauntleroy. You pay one amount to get in and you can eat food from, I don't know, there's about 50 different places and drinks, and it's a lot of fun, a lot of people there. It's a good time. So I would encourage you to come and support the food bank and have a good time there. Thanks.
Thanks, Ted. Carla, go ahead.
Yeah, just my monthly announcement about our social. Last Friday of the month, it's the 26th. We're going to a kind of special place. I've been there quite a few times. I'd love to see everybody go out and support this. It's the Wine Academy at South Seattle College. And this is actually, and I made a mistake in what I posted. It is only till 7. So if you want to join, I would come right at 5:30, get your happy hour glass of wine, and we will be out of there at 7 o'clock sharp. Hope to see you.
Thanks, Carla. Whitney, go ahead.
Thank you, Jordan. We have 3 events coming up with the 34th. We are walking in a parade this Saturday, the 13th. All the information I just put into the chat. We'll be at the B-Town Fiesta on Saturday, September 21st as well, a tabling event that will be combining with the 33rd. And then lastly, our Adopt a Street and White Center will be happening at the end of the month on Saturday, September 27th. All the information is there in the chat, and then I'll put my email address in there if you have any questions. Thank you, Jordan.
Thanks, Whitney. I've got Celie who's live here with me. Celie, go ahead.
Yeah, we just want to give a shout out to Hannah Cameron, who's here in person at 37 weeks pregnant, tabulating your vote. So if you were rude to her at all, you should be ashamed of yourself. But we just want to say thank you to Hannah for coming in and making this process as easy as it was.
Crushing it. Thank you, Celie. Thank you, Hannah.
There will be a new Democrat soon.
Yay, Hannah.
Take them all.
Ted, this is Ann Martin. Ted's announcement of the West Seattle Food Bank event reminded me that on October 10th, the White Center Food Bank will also have their annual fundraiser down at CMAR. And I will get details to Carla or whomever, but I hope you will support the White Center Food Bank as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Ann. Amy, go ahead.
Hello, I am a newer member of the 34th Legislative District M, so thank you for having me. I am just letting you all know that in case you were not already aware, there's an organization in Washington trying to get universal healthcare passed on the state level. It is called Whole Washington. I volunteer with them in addition to what I do here. We're currently trying to form a legislative team to specifically target attempting to pass universal healthcare on the state level. We've also done initiative campaigns in the past and will likely do one again in the future. If you are interested in joining the volunteer team, we're always looking for more people to advocate for the good fight. You can find more information at wholewashington.org, and that is whole as in like entire, not a whole. Thanks.
Thanks, Amy. Before we keep going with good of the order, we've got our ballot 2 results for Director District 7, with 18 votes cast in favor of Carol Rava and 17 for Jen LaValle. Neither candidate reached the 60% threshold. Carol got 51.4, Jen got 48.6, which means that at the moment we have endorsed no candidate. However, we are able to consider dual endorsement. So is there a motion for a dual endorsement? Hannah, I see your hands up.
Yeah, this is Hannah Cameron, and I motion that we make a dual endorsement in District 7.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Leslie, you got in there first. Nice work. Hannah, would you like to speak to your motion?
Yeah, you know, as someone who just got to sit here and listen to folks speak about these two candidates, I was really impressed by both of them. And it seems very clear to me that we would be well served by either of them. And like what I think really matters in the end, you know, normally we talk about like getting good Democrats elected. In this case, we just really want good directors elected, people who really care about our children and are willing to put in the time and effort that they deserve. And I think it's been clear that our membership is pretty split here. And so they both deserve our commendation. Thanks.
Is there any speaker against the motion to endorse both candidates? Any speaker against the motion to endorse both candidates?
Jordan?
Chris, is your hand up for that?
Yeah. Actually, my hand was up for the good of the order, but I'm going to speak against the dual endorsement.
Okay, go ahead.
In my humble opinion, this dual endorsement is just the bane of our existence, and in the end ends up not adding clarity to the voters when we can. I think if our membership is split, we would be better served to do no endorsement, but our voice and our votes matter most, and the endorsement matters most when we're solid behind a candidate and both are good candidates. But the dual endorsement loses that, and it doesn't leave the voters, I think, as informed as they could be in terms of where the 34th rests. So if we are split, then I would say no endorsement would be the way to go.
Thank you, Chris. Leslie, since you were the second on this, you're welcome to speak for dual endorsement.
In the past, I have argued strongly against dual endorsements, but I'm making an exception here because of the quality of both of these candidates. They are exceptional, and we desperately need one or the other to be elected for our 49,000 plus students in Seattle Public Schools. Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie. Is there a second speaker against the motion to dual endorse?
Stephen Lanfear.
Go ahead, Stephen.
I support Chris Porter's notion that dual endorsements don't add any information to the voter to figure out who's the best one to choose. And I agree with Chris that what the the proper alternative here would be no endorsement. So I'm opposed to dual endorsements in general. I think they leave the voter wondering why you couldn't figure out the best candidate. Thank you.
All right, since we heard two speakers, both for and against, that will conclude debate, and we will move forward with a vote on whether or not to endorse. So if you select yes, we will dual endorse, which means an endorsement for both. If you select no dual endorsement, that means we will make no endorsement in this race. If you do not see the poll, again, one last time, you can text in your vote to 253-561-1149. Steve, I see your hand still up. Is that the good of the order?
No, I kind of spaced out over the numbers of the District 4, excuse me, District 7 races.
Okay.
Can you repeat those, please?
Yes, so for the first ballot, there were 20 for Carol Rava, 18 for Jen LaValle, and 4 for no endorsement.
Okay.
And then on the second ballot, we had 18 for Carol and 17 for Jen.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Anyone else for good of the order? Chris, go ahead.
Thank you, Jordan. Thank you, Jordan. Yes. On September 20th at 10 p.m., I am leading a pollinator walk at the Union Bay Natural Area. Normally, my focus is entirely on bees, and I should say it will also include identifying what really makes a habitat, why this wetlands is, I think, a pretty good example of that, and even getting down into the soil level of what's in the soil that makes this such a great area for pollinators in general. So that's September 20th at 10 a.m. at the Union Bay Natural Area, and it's close. It's in the same parking lot as the conservatory next to UW. Thanks.
Thanks, Chris. Anyone else for good of the order?
I have a quick good of the order, but I can't put my hand up for some reason.
Go
It's not
ahead, Roxanne.
functioning. So very quickly, a lot of you have heard me speak about, and you heard about from other people, the Keep Our Care Act, which would have put regulations on mergers and acquisitions in the healthcare market. I met with a team I put together with Mankadingra, Rep. Taylor, who presented it last time around. 4 attorney general people to save secular healthcare leadership. And basically, at this point in time, it's being considered as not passable. I asked Senator Wynn, our old senator, about why we couldn't get this passed. He said the hospital lobby is in control and out of control in Olympia. Our hospitals and our veterinary clinics are being taken over by private equity, venture capitalism, and religious corporate institutions that deny legal health care. So be aware out there, and we need to keep working on this one. If you're interested, send me a message in Slack. Thank you.
Thanks, Roxanne. Perfect timing. So we've got results on our ballot for dual endorsement. So with 37 votes cast in favor of a dual endorsement and 4 against, we have endorsed both Carol Rava and Jen LaValle for School Board Director District 7 with 90.2% of the vote. So congratulations, both of you. Last final call. Does anyone else have anything for good of the order? All right. Thank you all for sticking it out. We ran a little bit over, but we got a lot done. Thank you all for being here. Congratulations to our endorsed candidates. Time is 9:17, and I will call this meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, Jordan, for your hard work on this meeting.
Good night, everyone. Thank
Good
you,
night, everyone.
Raleigh.
Good night.
Cheers.
Good night. Thank you.